and ask them questions. Bring them in. Send girls in. I feel sorry for these girls for what they went through, but let them speak. They were there. Nobody else is there. Well, it's other than Democrats or some Republicans there. But bring these girls in. That's the main thing. You know. So, anyway, C-SPAN, you have a good day.
Okay, Randy, and let's talk about what Randy brought up, and this is White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. She was asked about the reports in the Miami Herald that I showed you earlier about President Trump talking to the police chief, and that everyone knew about Epstein's crimes.
According to the newly released files, the president had a conversation the president has gone on record before and he's told reporters that he said that Jeffrey Epstein had no idea about Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. During this conversation with the police chief, however, he did say, according to this recounting of it, that thank goodness you're stopping him. He also told us that late nights will be full. So my two questions are, did that conversation on these police chief recounting, and can you explain the discrepancy?
What I will say is that the president has always remained consistent and that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his club at Mar-a-Lago because, frankly, Jeffrey Epstein was a creep. And unlike many other people who are named in these files, President Trump cut off his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and was honest and transparent about that for years and years. And I think what the president has said all along has always remained true. And the release of more than 3 million documents related to Jeffrey Epstein and his heinous, disgusting crimes just shows the level of transparency that this president and administration has committed to in bringing these files to light.
But did he call the chief in 2006? Caroline, did he call the chief?
Well, there was a phone call that may or may not have happened in 2006. I don't know the answer to that question. What I'm telling you is that what President Trump has always said is that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club because Jeffrey Epstein was a creep, and that remains true. And this, if it did happen, correct exactly what President Trump has said from the beginning. And I'm sure many of you, when you read that alleged FBI report, probably thought to yourself, wow, this really cracks our narrative that we've been trying to push about this president for many years. So
it's just a scheme. Where is all that money going to? I don't believe that all that money is going where it's supposed to go, and I believe Donald Trump in some kind of way is getting kickbacks on that funding. It's extreme the funding that they gave the DHS, and there was a report sent out about how many true criminals are arrested and how many people are arrested for traffic tickets and minute things that is totally ridiculous. This is the racism of America. And on the Epstein file, I can't believe how they talk about these girls are truly victims. What's coming out, this country is known for rape, incest, and all these things. I don't understand how some of these men can talk about how that these women are playing victims and they not.
All right, Jeffrey and Rob is next. Democrat in Richmond, Virginia.
Good morning. I just wanted to alert people to some facts that they probably don't know about U.S. history. They started when the colonizers came over here to America. A lot of the Native American women were underage women, were raped and treated horribly by the supposed Christians that came here. A wise woman once said that the people that are calling high to God the most, proclaiming to be the best, are the worst sinners. Secondly, one of our presidents, Thomas Jefferson, was with an underage person named Sally Hemings, 14 at the time. I think she gave birth to her first child at 16. So these powerful people think they've got a God complex, and they get away with things. And a lot of the things that are being told about in this Epstein file, they know about it, from both sides. And I don't honestly believe anything's going to get done about this. But from just a contextual history standpoint, it's been going on for ages here. Trump said it in his deposition about, rich, powerful people who've been doing it for millions of years, according to him. But so they're not. I don't think anything's going to get done about this. And the DHS, as for that component of it, ICE's budget, just ICE, not the DHS, but ICE's budget, $29 billion last year. It's more than a lot of other countries, developed countries like Spain, their military budget. So put that in context. So people like R. Kelly and Puff Daddy, they did things that were horrible. They're being, punished for their time. But all these other wealthy people that are in these Epstein files, not going to see anything. They're, a lot of them have passed on, a lot of them have, they've hidden from the truth. So hopefully everybody is privy to this and realize that this country is headed in the wrong direction.
And Rob, the DHS ICE got $75 billion from the bill that was passed in the summer. And the Hill says this: Speaker Johnson backs full year DHS bill as Thune eyes a stopgap. So there's still disagreement there between the House and the Senate with that funding bill set to lapse at midnight on Friday. John in Florence, Massachusetts, Independent Line, you're on the air.
Good morning, Amy. I'm just curious if that lady from Illinois that was crying about the girls from Epstein Island was crying about the 300,000 illegal unaccompanied minors that came across the border, and who knows what happened to them because oversight was lost, or if she cares about any of the underage kids that get their bodies mutilated during their gender transformation. But anyways, I'm just curious, Democrats think that law enforcement doing their jobs is a danger to American citizens, and that they're just officers. They don't think that all the illegal aliens that can't speak English and can drive trucks and get CDL licenses, can't speak English, are a danger to us. Or they say it's an unconstitutional invasion that the ICE is in their cities. But however, the 20 million illegal aliens that came across the border, that would be racist if I said that was an invasion. And since 2 U.S. citizens were killed, I guess ICE should be abolished, but we shouldn't get rid of all the illegal aliens because thousands of Americans have been raped, killed, molested, murdered, carjacked, maimed, and disabled by illegal aliens. That's different. And it wasn't child endangerment when they sent all these kids across the border, unaccompanied minors. That wasn't child endangerment, or when they that guy took off from his kid and ran away and left his kid unaccompanied on the street. That's not child endangerment. But if an American does that, suddenly that is. And as for Alex Preedy, who you said, maybe he kept fighting with law enforcement after his gun was taken, yes, and he had 2 clips on him. Maybe they didn't know what those were in his pocket, that he was still fighting with them. Why was he still fighting with law enforcement? He was in the street blocking traffic. He was not supposed to be doing that. Your gun license is revoked and not null and void if you commit another crime or a crime during the possession of it. That means your license is revoked. So he was committing another crime just by being in the street and blocking traffic and obstructing ICE. Just as also you can see a new video that shows 3 minutes before what this Renee Good was doing in the street, blocking ICE, obstructing them, beeping her horn, blowing her whistle. You don't need to do that. And it doesn't take 5 minutes and 40 turns and stopping for 30 seconds to beep your horn and blow your whistle and let your partner get out of your car to...
And this is that front page of the Washington Times with this headline: Immigration enforcers face fury on Capitol Hill. Democrats decry blood on your hands. It says this: the government's top immigration enforcers came to Capitol Hill on Tuesday, that was yesterday, to deliver their first defense after the killings of 2 American citizens in Minnesota, facing vicious attacks from Democrats who compared them to Nazis and slave patrols and suggested that the head of ICE faced eternal damnation. Quote, how do you think Judgment Day will work for you with so much blood on your hands? Representative LaMonica McIver, New Jersey Democrat, challenged Acting Director Todd Lyons. Quote, do you think you're going to hell? That's at the Washington Times on the front page. And Henrietta is calling us from Fort Pierce, Florida, Republican line. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. With respect to immigration, I say get rid of them all, the Abuelas and all of them. Why? Because we don't want these people filling out the census. And that's all the Democrats want. Some more representatives in blue states because they're losing population because their policies stink out loud. With respect to Epstein, I don't feel sorry for these girls. They are willing participants. They made their own bed, and now they're sleeping in it. And they're looking back and they're embarrassed about their behavior. And that's exactly why they're crying today. Oh, I was taken advantage of. No, you weren't. President Trump was right when he spoke to Billy Bush about they'll let you do anything to them if you're famous. That's right. The famous little quote. They will, and it wasn't anything. It was a specific thing. And yes, they would. Were you alive in the 80s? Did you go out to the clubs? Do you know what it was like? They were all would be, all want to be better. You can make my life better. I'll hang out with you because you have money. I'll sit with you and I will have sex with you. Why? Because I think things will get better for me. So, don't feel sorry for the young, I'm going to use this loosely, ladies. None of them. And for putting them up on the hill, my God, that would be dreadful. You drag them through their embarrassment again. And we don't want to see that. We wish you'd stop it. The truth is that men and power do bad things. Guess what? Women with power and money do bad things too. It's just the nature of the beast. And these little would-be, oh, I'm a victim now. No, they were willing participants. And I thank you very much for your time today.
Alex is in Brooklyn, New York. Line for Democrats. You're on the air, Alex.
Wow, Mimi, I almost can't even speak after the garbage of the last two calls that just caught. It's just leaving me almost speechless. Mimi, first off, I just want to apologize. The last time we spoke, a man basically called up and said that men morally are better than women to lead. That was the last interaction I had with you several weeks ago. The last two callers are everything that is wrong with this country. Excusing men with power to treat women like objects, from what Rokana said, in the most evil ways. And you have this last caller who is a woman that has probably lived through this power struggle. Just accept it. I mean, this is where we are as a country. I have 2 points to make. Please, Amy, just let me make them, and I know you have to get to other callers. To all these disgusting idiot men that are calling and saying that these women are victims because they allowed themselves to have this happen to them, let me just tell you a quick story, and then I'll get to my point. My girlfriend, when I was in my 20s, she was 25, I was 28. She knew Epstein. He paid for her education. When she was going to college here, she was studying media. She was 25 years old. She went on a yacht, and she was in Miami. And she came back, and she simply said to me, I am never going back. And she never talked about this again. I have no idea what happened to her. This is a 25-year-old woman. I never asked again because I don't know what happened. I just said, are you okay? She said yes. And that was the end of it. I never talked to her again. This is a 25-year-old woman. You mean to tell me an 18-year-old girl that comes from a broken home is going to make the right choices? I mean, how could you people in the United States listening to this program think that? You would think that you people are probably a little better than the garbage that's out there in the rest of this country, but apparently not. My last point, and I will say this, in the UK, they're dealing with the fallout from these Epstein files. The ambassador to Washington had to resign over this because he came out in the files. 2 people come out in the files in the UK, and the Prime Minister almost has to resign. Here in the United States, we have Steve Bannon and the rest of this garbage of people in these files, and nothing comes out because no one is held responsible. It's disgusting what we have become as a country. It is utter disgust that I have for the way you people. And I apologize, Mimi, and for all you women out there that think that this is the way it is not. There are men like me, many others that feel that these victims should have their day in court. Their stories should be heard, and the truth should come out, whether it's Republicans or Democrats. Everybody should be held accountable.
All right, Alex, let's go to Caleb next. Independent line, Durham, North Carolina. Good morning, Caleb.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. So, where I agree with the guy's sentiment, I'm just going to kind of go straight into my feelings on both matters. As far as the Epstein files go, I think that people are seeing a lot of fallout from... Sorry, my mind's going blank as soon as I receive a phone call. I think that people are going to jump, and their gut reaction is going to be burn it all down. I think that people need to still offer some level of one of the things that makes America great is the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. I think the same thing goes for the DHS people who have, who are going through their investigations, their trials. Everyone has their opinion, and there's the court of the public opinion, but people need to allow some level of trust in the judicial system and how we have set it up. And I think as far as both cases go, whether it's the DHS process or the Epstein files, I think people need to get more involved in their local governments. People need to learn who their representatives are and see where they stand. I think that people need to work from the ground up, not from the top down. There's this weird hyperfixation on the federal government and the federal level when you have the most amount of power on the local and state levels where you reside. I think people need to remember that.
All right. And this is on the Senate floor. Yesterday, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer talked about Democrats' demands for ICE in order to support funding for DHS.
What Democrats propose is the definition of common sense. We simply want ICE to follow the same standards that most law enforcement agencies across America already follow. We must end roving patrols. We must have a code of conduct. We must end secret police who are not identified. And I want to be very clear about something else. These guardrails on ICE must apply across the board, including to operations funded through the Republican so-called Big Beautiful Bill. We can't have ICE agents claiming they don't need to follow the law because they're being funded by this pot of money instead of that pot of money. That would be absurd. Our reforms must apply to all ICE operations. The American people proudly support law enforcement, but most agree the status quo with ICE cannot continue. What ICE has been doing in Minneapolis and other cities is the antithesis of law enforcement. It's intimidation, coercion, and puts people in danger.
Back to the calls to Tony in Detroit, Democrat. Hi, Tony, you're on the air.
Hi, Mimi. Good morning. You are so beautiful. You and Kimberly are the main reason I call in. And you are a breath of sunshine. So, I think this is terrible to hear what these callers are subjecting you to this morning. I mean, the double standard to rape or to talk the way they're talking about little girls. That is terrible. Even women are talking about children. But no man has a right to violate a child, no matter what. And to hear these people call these girls, little girls, women, that's the most sacrilegious thing I've ever heard. DHS, $75 billion, 3,000 people making people disappear. This is lawlessness. This looks like that movie. What's that movie? I can't even think of the name of it. But all of this is terrible. To see the United States of America, we're isolated, and they call us peaceful persons. I feel so vulnerable every single day since Donald Trump has been in office. And to hear Caroline Lovett say they're moving on from it. At the same time, Donald Trump hasn't moved on from the 2020 election. Hypocrisy 101. This is pure evil, and I hope we survive this. I really do.
All right.
Anyway, Mimi.
All right, Tony, let's talk to Margaret. Independent line, Edgewater, Maryland. Hi, Margaret.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I was just thinking about that Epstein thing. It is disgusting when you think about it. And the thing that is offensive as a woman is when other women call in and somehow blame the victim. You know, what do you know when you're 17, 18, 19-year-old? Nothing. You don't know anything about life yet because you're still young. But when you somehow say that a 60-year-old having sex with a 17 or a 16-year-old girl, somehow the girl is to blame. The question that always comes up for me is, who the heck is the adult in the room? Is it the 16-year-old or is it the 60-year-old pervert that's having sex with the 16-year-old? And that's the thing, you know. You have to hold people accountable. And if you don't, this will just continue and continue and continue. And I think there was a caller previously who said they just bring them all in, the women and the girls, and have them testify. You know, everybody talks about protecting their identities, I understand that. But I just, it's offensive, you know, and that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Let's talk to Joy next in Illinois, line for Republicans. Good morning.
Hi, I'm a former now. I'm always conservative Republican, but I just think that we worship the golden calf. I think that they use the guise of money and racism to lure people who are misinformed to voting for their interests, and I think their interests are very demonic. I mean, let's get to the core. Evil is what it is, and we worship it, and I think that the energy has shifted in this country. You can feel it in the air when you're walking, amongst people, and for people, you go in as business as usual. And I think it's a conservative thing to say that they're 14. I think we know the reality. It's conservative. My other question is, are they all straight? I mean, so there are no young boys that are victims, and I think it's really bad that we don't even mention them. And we know in reality that they have an appetite for anything, these people. And so as we worship them and we turn a blind eye, know that they are seeing that, and they know that we're desensitized, and that they can do anything. They can do anything to us because we don't care anymore. People walk among us, and the woman who called and said that you're a woman yourself, God is watching you, and God help you, because you're going to answer for it when you go before Him. You're going to answer for it. They all will. God bless.
In New Jersey, on the line for Democrats, Dee, good morning.
Good morning. I have a different subject, the national debt. Elon Musk was on a podcast and said this country is going to go bankrupt if they don't start looking at the national debt.
So Dee, that is an important topic, but we are just talking about DHS funding talks and the Epstein files, if you don't mind sticking to one of those.
All right. Now, I have another issue. I don't know what I'm reading is true or correct on the computer anymore, but George Will came out with a statement that Ivanka Trump.
Yes?
The Ivanka Trump passport has been seized. She has 23 different offshore accounts. Is that correct, or is that AI?
I'm not sure about that, Dee. But we're going to go now to John in New Jersey, independent line. Good morning.
Is that me, John?
Yes, it's you, John.
Yes, okay. I didn't hear my name. The lady before from Illinois made a lot of sense in dealing with the various things that are taking place. Now, it's always been the Nazi thing dealing. If you say a lie long enough, people start believing it. And we're getting into all this Epstein stuff going on and on and on. Epstein went Obama administration the Clinton administration and Biden administration, and of course the 4 years for Trump. And now it's all of a sudden now it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And then we want to talk about the rest of them. And then the same thing with the DHS stuff that's going on. Okay, all the millions of people that came across the border. We're not talking about that. We're talking about all the things that are happening. Well, I guess if you got a lot more work to do because of what happened, and when they know, actually, you see places where the police do their job, and then the DHS does their job. That it's valid, just like you're seeing now in Minnesota, what's going on, and they're still building things out in the middle of the road that determine. But the police come along and tear them down. But they're not going in their face. They're not sitting in their face. They're not causing all this dissension. Now, listen, immigration. My grandfather had to come here. He had to wait 4 years. And his brother had a job for him, a place to live, and everything else. But he had to wait 4 years. And then my mother and her twin sister and my grandmother had to wait another 3 years to get cleared for immigration. That was the law. And guess what? 2 weeks ago, I understand from what I heard on television that the law's basically the same. So I don't get America, the globalists have bought the news media. I don't care what news media you talk about. And they want a one world government, and that's what they're aiming for. And there are people that just don't care. They have no morals. There is no God anymore. That's it.
Albuquerque on the line for Republicans. Lita, good morning to you.
Well, good morning. Thank you for your show. Thank you so much. I love to watch it. The DHS funding, 9/11. Come on, people, have you forgotten, or do you not read the history books? 9/11 happened. I saw people jumping off of the building. I saw people dying. I saw the planes flying into the towers. Come on, guys. DHS. That's why we have. That's why we have to have that. And as for the Epstein files, my goodness, I'm a woman. I was taught by my mother, don't let anybody touch your private parts. Women, come on. Didn't you have mothers? Didn't you have mothers that taught you anything, or fathers that taught you anything? Please, come on. Thank you so much for your show. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit excited because DHS funding. We have to protect our homeland from people that would do wrong. And women.
Got it, Lita. And regarding DHS funding, just so you know that at 10 a.m. Eastern today on C-SPAN 3, we're going to have a hearing. So DHS funding would lapse if there's no agreement at this Friday at midnight. But it doesn't include immigration enforcement agencies, because that's already been funded through the GOP tax and spending bill that was passed in the summer. So at 10 o'clock, you're going to hear from officials from agencies that would lose funding, so components of DHS, including the Secret Service and the Coast Guard. They'll be in front of the House Appropriations Subcommittee on the impact of a potential shutdown. Again, that is live at 10 a.m. Eastern on C-SPAN 3. Maryland, Crest Hill, Illinois, Democrat. Good morning, Maryland.
Good morning, and I watch your show every morning, no matter whether it's about Republicans or Democrats. All right, I'm going to put myself on the floor here. I lived in Palm Beach. I'm 82 years old. And excuse my voice, I've had throat surgery. I lived there before Trump bought Mar-a-Lago and after he bought it. And during the whole Epstein trial, the first one, I've seen them out in Palm Beach. I know who they are. My mother
mother dated, because she was a widow, one of the first members of Mar-a-Lago. And Trump is lying about why he said Epstein had to leave Mar-a-Lago and not be a member anymore. The members got together and told Trump if he didn't stop Epstein from coming there, they would pull their money. That's why it happened. And my mother, so call me a liar if you want, but it's the truth, and my mother told the truth. 6 times she knew of Trump going on Epstein's plane. Now, they want to come at me and put me in front of a court. I will state it again. This is what I know, okay? I know about that AG in Florida that let Epstein off with that sweetheart deal.